Okay, I just want to take a quick tour of the video arcade cabinet to give you an idea where it's at as far as progress. No kick plate. That has more to do with me being able to access the computer and the keyboard and mouse that are still required to run the show. So they're still here. I have a kick plate right there. It even has a beveled edge so that it will go up against this diagonal piece. So it's ready to go. I just haven't screwed it in place because that would make it difficult for me to manipulate the machine. So I added T-molding. I'm not sure I like the design that I ended up with. The design has a box here, and that box comes up and out. I can't move it. Hold on. I hope it's not stuck in place. Oh, there we go. Alright, so there's a mechanism for pulling it out, right? It sits down in that diagonal shaped hole, which if you watch the videos, you'll see how I did that. But that's how it sits in there. Now the problem with that is, of course, the joints. That joint is kind of ugly, the way that it meets right there. There's really not much I can do to make it better, right? Same with this one. The chrome molding lines up, maybe. Still a little rough around the edges there. Anyway, that's how it fits together. Here on the bezel, right now it's just a piece of 3/4 inch plywood. I don't know if you can see that, but there's just a piece of plywood that's been cut, and it needs some touch up, it looks like. But either way, along the edge there, sort of a matte finish. I'd like to cover it with stickers, I think. Also, a design element that I hadn't considered is the power button for this monitor. It's one of the old ViewSonic 22-inch monitors that Overstock sold for a while. I basically just drilled a hole there, which you can see is the blue light for the monitor. You just stick a pen that it's been separated. You just take a pin and put it in that hole and push the button. Voila! No more monitor. Anyway, that's how that goes. So I haven't finished the marquee. I've been thinking a lot about it. I need 28 inches wide by about 8 inches tall to fit in this space. And I've got these cheapy USB speakers, and they just roll down the back and plug into the computer I showed you earlier. But what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to drill a couple of 4-inch holes in this diagonal space to mount some speakers and put some fancy grills over them so that they look shiny, and the sound comes straight down into the play area. So those need to go. They're just temporary because I need to hear sound sometimes when I'm troubleshooting, so I've got those in there. But a marquee is supposed to sit here, a piece of plexiglass or a double piece of plexiglass that's got a paper sandwiched in between that has logos and graphics on it, and somewhere back here either LED lighting or a fluorescent tube lighting, which is the standard in an arcade for it to have a fluorescent tubing light. But I think I'd like to do something LED related. I've seen some really cheap ways to make that work. Anyway, so that's where that part's at. I still have a remaining piece to do in the marquee section here at the top, and then I'd like to do something with the keyboard area. There were several areas I patched with wood putty that after I painted them, they rubbed off. So this area here definitely needs like a plexiglass or a hard surface, because paint ain't gonna cut it. The kids and probably the adults too are just too rough to have it stay nice. Because as you can see, there's several places where it's just getting beat up. I mean, it wasn't a really good finished job to begin with. Let's face it, I'm an IT person, not a wood finisher. So you know, there's several spots where the paint just didn't stick, and so to fix that, we'll need something stiff plastic. Anyway, so finally down here, at some point I'd like to replace this 720, or excuse me, it's not a 720, it's a 520, an Optiplex 520, so it's not a fast machine. And it's sitting on this box because otherwise the speaker cords won't reach. I could get a USB extension and a 1/4 inch sound plug extension and make that work. But what would be better, I think, would be to replace this with a 780 anyway, or just something smaller that I can maybe build a shelf off of and stuff it in. Something that's easier to ventilate, because I'll eventually need to cut some holes in this cabinet for ventilation as I start sealing up the places air would naturally escape. There's no kick plate on the front. I'd like to add a kick plate, otherwise it looks like a Walmart cart from the bottom. So need to definitely do something about that, because it's not. I mean, it's just open even with my big kick plate. That kick plate only comes from the edge of these 2x4s to the top of this bezel, right somewhere in here where the line is made. So this definitely needs to get replaced. But let's face it, I put it in place because I had it and I didn't have to buy anything. So you know, as time passes, this will get better. I also think that this is my coin operated button. I'd like to add a coin door right in the center of this one. Just they're like $30 on eBay for a coin door with double coins, and that would be a good addition as far as adding something to make it look like a true arcade machine. But for now, if you want credits, just push this button, right? Next to it, I'd like to put a select game button, possibly an escape or pause button. I've got extra buttons that I haven't used yet, and they're not expensive. I've got these doohickeys here, right? I've talked about them a bit. I was thinking that it would be nice to have one here and one on the other side to work as plungers when you're playing pinball games, and also to add a pinball plunger somewhere over here that you can pull and it launches the ball. Anyway, that's where it's at. I think I've covered all the aspects. Don't have a really long extension cord, so you can't really see, but there's not really much to see here in the back, except it's just screwed in by a couple of wood screws. Of just it meets at the back, right, and then comes up and over. But bad lighting. But I don't know what you had. Oh, it's dusty up there. Anyway, let's see. Let's try the other side. Get a better view of the overall machine. Lots of paint marks, lots of uneven paint jobs. I think I could have spent a lot more time on finish. There's several places where wood putty shows through the paint surface that had I just done a little bit better job on attention to detail to those kinds of things. Right? I know that there's a screw right there. I can see a tiny outage where it comes up and out. And there's several places like that where if I'd have just spent a little bit more time on that, and in a lot of places where it just looks really, really smooth, like an orange peel type of texture, which you wouldn't necessarily want if you were putting lots of graphics on it. I was thinking smaller stickers or individualized stickers rather than like a big pattern that covered the whole side. You can buy those for $100 or so, get a whole kit. But that's not necessarily my plan. Anyway, I hope that gives you an idea about the current setup and features of the machine and where it's headed. But, right, that's what it looks like. Cheers. See ya later.